Hi, let's talk about fructose and why fructose promotes diabetes. This is really interesting and it's important for you to know. So first of all, we need to know where fructose is hiding so that you can avoid those food sources. And unfortunately, it's pretty much everywhere in our processed foods. But something that might be very obvious to you is fruit, fructose, fruit sugar, same thing. You can also find it in honey, berries, root vegetables, soda. Most processed foods contain it. And if you see high fructose corn syrup on the label, that is pure fructose. So what you might not be aware of is that table sugar is 50% fructose and 50% glucose, which is a huge reason for why it's so bad. It's actually the fructose part of the sugar that is doing the most damage when it comes to promoting diabetes. So what's the actual problem here? Why is fructose so much worse than glucose? It has to do with the way that fructose is handled by your body, because it's very different from how glucose is metabolized. So you know that when you eat glucose in any form, whether that be starch or sugar, it raises your blood sugar. And fructose, if you eat fructose, it has no effect on your blood sugar. And that is why it used to be promoted as diabetes friendly, because we thought that it's safe to eat because it doesn't raise your blood sugar. Unfortunately, we now know that that's not the case. So glucose, on the other hand, is raising your blood sugar, but it goes out in your blood, obviously, if it's raising your blood sugar, and it's available to every single cell in your body. So if you have insulin that is telling your cells to absorb this glucose, all the cells in your body will help taking this sugar up and get rid of it from your bloodstream. So it will clear it out. Fructose, on the other hand, can not be metabolized by any other cells than the cells in the liver. Okay? So it's actually not too different from alcohol when it comes to the effect that it has on the liver. Because when you drink alcohol, your liver needs to take care of it because there's no other organ capable of clearing out the alcohol from your blood. And the same is happening with fructose. It's only the liver that can take care of it. So the liver will make sure that fructose is taken care of before it helps metabolizing the glucose. If the only fructose that you're eating is coming from, let's say, an apple, you eat one apple every day, you're probably going to be okay. But considering that there's fructose in pretty much everything we eat, including half of the massive amounts of sugar that we eat each year, that's a lot of kilos. I'll have to look it up to remember how many kilos, but it's a lot of sugar. There will be a lot of fructose and glucose for your body to take care of every year. A human liver weighs roughly 1.5 kilos or 2% of your body weight. Some of us might be eating several hundred grams of fructose every day, depending on what your diet looks like. People who drink a lot of soda can, without noticing it, consume a lot of fructose, which means that the liver is massively overworked. And if there is enough glucose around and the glucose stores in the liver are full, your liver will start producing triglycerides. These are fats. Okay, so if you've ever been doing a fat or a lipid panel, like measuring your blood fats on a blood test, and it says high triglycerides, you know that you might be consuming way too much fructose, and that might be the major problem here. So not only does fructose cause high triglycerides, but it also causes fatty liver. And this can happen very quickly. There are studies that have observed a 38% increase in liver fat in just 8 days. This is nothing, it's just over a week. And this causes insulin resistance. Imagine if you do this every day for years, eventually the insulin resistance is gonna be so bad that you're diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. I did mention alcohol because when I grew up, fatty liver was something that you only saw in alcoholics, literally. But it's the same thing with fructose. The symptoms are the same. So you can get fatty liver from alcohol, or you can get fatty liver from fructose and insulin resistance. If you're looking at a fatty liver from an alcoholic, it's not really going to look much different from a fatty liver from someone who's consuming a lot of fructose. Okay? So there are also other studies on humans that show that when we consume 25% of our daily calories from fructose, insulin resistance increases in as little as 6 days. So that's less than a week. And for someone who's drinking soda, it's easy to get 25% of your calories from fructose, which is scary, but it's true. And the same thing does not happen if you drink soda that contains glucose only and no fructose. So there is a massive difference. We can tell that fructose is so much worse than pure glucose. So after 8 weeks on a diet consisting of 25% of your intake from fructose, people in this study were classed as having pre-diabetes, and they were previously healthy. So there's no wonder that we have this diabetes epidemic going on. We just have the perfect storm out there with fructose and processed foods and a lot of sugar, a lot of fat, and the combination of everything, and it also makes us want to overeat, obviously. So if you haven't got rid of the fructose out of your life, even if you don't want to do anything else, like get rid of the fructose, because it's doing so much harm. Literally, it can do harms in a week's time. So if you're consuming a lot of fructose, you know that it's done some harm. There's no eating fructose in moderation. I say if you have an apple a day, you might be fine, but it's going to be hard for you to avoid all fructose. So eating sugar in moderation, that is just a BS term that they come up with because they don't want to get into a fight with the sugar industries, etc. So we say it's okay to have a little bit of that, but it's not an appropriate diet for any human being to eat processed foods or processed sugar, which is actually an extract from sugar beets or corn or whatever we're doing. So just cut it out, but especially the fructose. But remember that the table sugar that you're eating is 50% fructose. So even if you're eating sugar, you're getting a lot of fructose. Just think about it this way. How if you were a smoker and you have lung cancer, you wanted to quit, and they say it's all right, you don't stop smoking a pack a day, just have 4 cigarettes. Just smoke in moderation, we'll be fine. It's okay, it's normal. No, I don't think it's normal. I don't smoke at all, I never have. I never will. Because I know it's not good for me. Or just take a little bit of cyanide every day. Not enough to kill you, just enough to make you sick. You probably wouldn't do that, would you? Because it doesn't make any sense. So why would we do that when it comes to sugar? It's the same thing. The sugar is poisoning you slowly, making you sick and making you feel awful. And if you already have diabetes, it will keep you sick and keep progressing your disease. And give you complications that may at some point be irreversible. People are dying from this, people are losing limbs, they go numb in fingers and toes, and they have foot ulcers, they have kidney failure, they might have to have a kidney transplant, they go blind. There are lots of things that happen because people are not eating an appropriate diet and they have type 2 diabetes, which is totally reversible. It's so unnecessary to go there. Anyhow, I just went on a tangent there. I don't want you to do that. I don't want you to be one of these people. I want you to know the truth. I want you to make your own decisions and do as much as you can do to prevent or cure your diabetes. So start with going through all the labels of the foods in your cupboards. Have a look at them. See what they contain. If there are things that you're not really sure about what they are, if they end with an OSE, it's probably a type of sugar, so lactose, sucrose, etc. Those are always sugars. And then cut out all processed foods if you can. I can understand if you every now and then might want to have something that is not just a piece of steak and vegetables and garlic butter, which is one of my favorite meals. And that's fine, but when you're eating it every day or several days a week, you're gonna do a lot of damage. If you're having a processed meal once a week, yeah, you're gonna slow down your progress, but if that's the best you can do, it's a lot better than doing nothing. So everyone has to start somewhere, and we need to do what we can to get better. And then, if it doesn't look like real food, like literally, if it doesn't look like real food, if you can't find it in nature, it's most likely not safe. So just cut it out if you can. And remember that vegetable smoothies are processed, they release all the sugars, don't do them. If it's unprocessed, fine. Eat the leaves if you want to, but don't process them before, okay? So finally, by avoiding carbs in general, you will give yourself the best chance of reversing your diabetes. And that's all I want for you. I want you to be empowered, I want you to be in control, and I want you to be able to choose what direction your life is going to take from here on. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, share it with your friends, etc. And you can also join us in our Facebook group if you haven't done that already. If you're type 2 diabetic, you are more than welcome to join. We have some resources in there, and we will try to answer all your questions that you might have with regards to diet or reversing your diabetes. So just get in, get active, ask your questions, and we'll get back to you.